fish. Okay, 선물, 물고기,
오리,
오리,
쥐,
쥐,
물고기,
고기, 물고기. Sounds like genitive tense. Mouse, tree,
오리,
오리,
물고기,
고기,
물고기.
쥐,
쥐는 귀엽습니까?
귀엽습니까? Yup, 귀엽, not 귀엽. Are mice cute? 쥐는 귀엽습니다. 습니까? 오리, 오리,
오리,
bird. 새, 쥐, 새, 물고기.
쥐, 물고기. 새. 새는 물고기를 먹습니다.
를 먹습니다. Like a general truth, birds eat fish. 새는 물고기를 먹습니다. 오리, 거북이,
거북이,
쥐,
쥐,
오리.
오리. 물고기와 거미,
Again, 물고기와 거미. Fish and 거미. 뭐예요?
거미,
토끼,
Monkey is the hare, the rabbit. One of those long-eared ones.
토끼는 빨리 달립니다.
빨리 달립니다.
토끼는 빨리 달립니다.
빨리. Let's work back. 토끼는 the hare. 토끼는 hare.
토끼는
빨리
빨리
달립니다. Runs.
달립니다.
Rabbits run quickly.
거미,
Spider.
새,
Bird.
거북이,
물고기. Turd.
물고기.
물고기. Fish.
우리가 쥐에게서 사과를 받아요.
우리가 쥐에게서 사과를 받아요. Duck gets gets an apple. We'll put that next after a verb. Receives 사과를 an apple. 쥐에게서 from the mouse. Okay, so this is a nice long sentence with 3 full noun phrases. Subject marked with ga, 우리, 우리가, the donor, right, the source donor, marked. Well, the final one there is ablative, from a thing. 에게, not sure to count that as 2 parts or 3 parts or even 1. But if you just if you associate
쥐에게서,
ablative meaning with that saw syllable, you won't be wrong, I think. Let's keep it on. Alright, Levi says that's weird. Mulgogi is its alive name. Why do you say that? I suppose in some way it is, but wait. Why do you tell me what you mean, please?
거미는 오리를 좋아합니다.
거미는 spiders. 오리를 ducks 좋아합니다. Like them.
거북이와 토끼,
거북이와 토끼. Tortoise, the turtle, and the rabbit.
거북이는 느립니다.
느립니다. 거북이는 turtles. 느립니다 are slow. When you are eating it, it is called sangsun. It is. So it is not in the meat stage. But why is it weird? I understand what you mean by alive, nay. What's weird about it? It's not the meat stage. Oh, right. Okay, meat, exactly. So, kogi is, I take this to be your meaning, so correct me if I'm wrong. That kogi now means meat in Korean. But in water and meat, I see. Yeah, that's right. Well, meat, these words, they just shift all over the place, don't they? My guess is that mulgogi was at the time that it was coined, not water meat, but water animal. Roughly, is my supposition. So asterisk for that. It's my asterisk. And let's see. So I don't know offhand of another example of, well, I think Kong had one. It was the same shift. But anyway, with English for the meat term, that one is related to the Scandinavian word for food. And flesh is German for meat. That's our, refers to the body. So the forms themselves referring to these things shift a lot in at least a couple languages that I know better than I know Korean. Seems plausible to me. But we can look that up. Let's never miss an opportunity. Cool. 물, water, 고기. I mean, it is still meat, even though, depending what sense of meat. Not in the sense of food ready to eat, but flesh and bones, even when it is alive. Where it is? There it is. Etymology: 물, water, 고기, meat. Fish, animal. Meat, flesh. Different word. Yeah. But apparently also just by itself without the mul, meaning fish, in Middle Korean and Modern Korean. Right? Or was that for Middle too? Fascinating.
거북이,
Or kogi could, it looks like it's a candidate for the gi, what do you call it? Noun deriving suffix, nominalizing. So hagi, the doing of a thing. Maybe kogi is from a verb, and it was like the eaten thing. The thing we eat. The eatens. So if it's in the water, mulgogi, the thing we eat that is in the water, and otherwise just we are eating or going to eat. I don't know. Just supposing. So let's. Would it still make sense to go through the doc you sent? Why don't I have you explain the points now for the benefit? If you want to summarize, or we could just get right into the text. But let me see if anything remains unaddressed. That's all. So as it loads, here we go. So, one thing to note about the ich syllable is that This, by the way, is nominative singular, and that doesn't exist in actual Sanskrit usage. You can have nouns that underliningly end in a cha. They're going to serve as a final K in this form. But of course, because K is a different place in the Shiva Sutras, that would change the meaning. So a final C is pronounced as a C. It's not the general way the language goes. Vrdhi at aich and ra we identified. First, if this string is the first sutra, which is the other names, your book contains much more. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, it's just those vrdhiradaich, those 4 syllables. The rest is so that first thing, padani, vrdhi, it's just the spelling out broken down into meaningful chunks, which is very helpful. And what that teaches you, so you're seeing there the sutra itself on top, sutra. Let me not use a capital S, not retroflex. Sutra, and an M because it's neuter. In the grammatical tradition, it's common to cite things in their stem forms. We just got to be always aware. I might use the dash, or actually a pipe is really cool for onset of the right suffix or termination, word ending. And then below that, so in the sutra, it's in sandhi, what we call the sandhi form, roughly. It's not a very precise thing to call it, but what it means is the surface form after sandhi rules have been applied. So what's normally a visarga becoming an R is an instance of sandhi. It's not really it's not a simple step there, but those interrelations. And then so the breakdown after the word padani is padani is just words, so that's pre-sandhi, the underlying word forms, not the underlying roots yet. That's a further level of analysis. So when we say pre-sandhi, it means what the collection of words would be, as if they were, kanji or something. The citation forms next to each other of that inflected still, right? So the colon shaped at the end of vrdhihi, that's the sign. That's the written sign. Just those 2 dots on its own is an H-like sound. So a weakened S coda is the source of it. At H. Those are really a compound, but broken into 2 words here. Then you say, for ading gurnaha, this means at aing agurna. Sounds like there is ha. That's what that is. Related to Hindi hai, I would not say so. In that they contain the letter S, I suppose, at some level. Right? If the Hindi word even does. Perhaps a copula does not appear to be written. What does the colon mean? Now we've got it. Yeah, diacritic. So the common name visarga. So the plain letter H in the standard transliteration is actually a voiced fricative of Sanskrit, according to the grammar. But then you have this word final. So in some dialects in the Western Hemisphere of Spanish, the word written as D-I-O-S can be heard as this. I believe it is called aspiration. What it is just opening the mouth a bit from the s, but keeping the fortis breath on the fricative, just without that narrowing. Dio. That seems to me to explain what the colon-looking symbol is representing. So if you had a P following, let's listen in a moment here. Pratama padaha. Oh, that's not the thing. Listen to how the written visarga is sounded in that little introductory melody. So, ash, da, chayi.
अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः प्रथमः पादः.
So it's aha at the ends here, the ends of the lines. the vowel sort of bleeding through the H into a new parasitic syllable. That's how it's normally recited nowadays. But here, with the following P in the next word, listen again.
अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः प्रथमः पादः
Doing a voiceless bilabial fricative. Prathama padaha, in anticipation of the P. You don't really have to think about it much. So your lips are going to the P position. They just linger a second with openness to allow air through. Prathama padaha. So it's a range of sounds represented by the visarga. It could be velar. It just depends on the next sound. If the next word started with a T, they would keep the S, which was underlying. Let me know if there's more questions about that. In the grammar itself, the written mark is called, or that, he wasn't really referring to writing. He was referring, his grammar is composed in speech sounds and referred to them. And also abstract analysis and not to letters. Lost my train of thought there. Hope it returns. Oh, his word for what we call visarga was from the same root. Visarjaniya stem. So the final stem was the most common noun type, actually. Since you asked earlier, were there vowel final stems in abundance? So the Latin os comes from the older Indo-European. Os at the end of nouns like this is this inflection with the vocative in e, marque, meaning O Marcus. This alternation for the thematic vowels is called, it's a common, anyone with both nouns, with male and female. Yeah. Okay, back to Korean, I think. Oh, let's actually go do the text of 114. This one is not one I understand well. Don't think it has too much significance to what I've seen. We can certainly talk about what the words are. Let's listen and just hear it a few times here.
वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके गुणवृद्धि च प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके.
And actually, I'm not too sure about the underlying basic form of
the
second word, the dhatulopa. I think it would have a visarga. Can you confirm with your breakdown that you have there? That second line. Ready to learn. Number 4, yeah. The double consonant's not always intuitive. So it's nya, there's some special signs. The J enya and the k sh clusters have their holistic, do not break down into the. Alright, so let's look at them. I think those are the difficult ones. Well, and actually there is some freedom depending on the publisher, I guess. You have more options to write things correctly in this script than you do in ours, I would say. Yeah. Let's see, I want Lexi logos, and nice. Scripted Nagari keyboard. Should be, actually, if I just type JN, nope, not it. Yeah. Look at this. Click on the viram called halant, ending in consonant. Diacritic in the center to delete the inherent vowel. Viram needed between. So, capital J, Enya. J. There it is. when final j, let's spell it out after, final j meets nya, gives nya. Actually, I mean, they certainly harmonize well with each other. And then you've got sh, which looks like a monkey hanging from a tree. Represents, well, there's a few ways it's pronounced. Some places it was a long palatal affricate, I think. But our transliteration goes k and sh. K and then retroflex sh. Ksha. And now that I look at it, it's as if the little balloon shape on the left of k was floating loose and tied down by a sh. I can actually see those as plausible sources. You know what I mean? Let's go to my good, useful friend here, Q Hansa. So the ksha one. This is kind of ampersand shape. Let's see, how does it end? Coming leftward a bit. Rightward, rather. Ksha. This part to me here, the curve and then the looping back, looks like a cursive form of the retroflex. A little bit distorted because it's at an angle. And in the case of, yeah, I can't write this one though. Okay, just the crossbar. Would be one way to write it. I suppose it would make sense to come out leftward. That's probably best, yeah. Come out left and then do a 2. Connect that to a stem. This is ja. So that's there. And then nya. Don't know. Anyway, the C shape is common to them. Any others that you come across, let me know. Oh, the DDH, yes, squiggle on the left. So, I see, yes. Our components there. D, dental, voiced, unaspirated. And then the same thing, but aspirated, dental. Duh. These would have to match in point of articulation if they were coronal sounds. There's no portmanteauing happening. They're written in sequence, just top to bottom. And because of the nature of the duh shape, right, it's sharing its stem now with this. That's just how it combines. So it looks like the duh is kind of out left and front. That's really no stranger than the E combining form, which is also to the left, but spoken later in time in a syllable like D. So you have a little dance happening. Squiggle on the left. How do you know which side it goes on? Kya versus bra. Okay, happy to. How do you know which side what goes? Oh, the duh. Well, I see. That's a good question. So I hope this makes it a little clear. Also, there's the phonotactics of the language itself. A sequence like DHD could not occur. So a nice example there, of course. That's the stem. It would be a masculine one. This is a participle. The root is cited by Sanskrit grammarians as buddha in the zero grade form always, and the suffix is da. So the outcomes are sort of compromised. It's long because there's 2 consonants there. By outcome, I mean the DDH sequence. But what I'm trying to show is there's certain rules about the ways those can surface. They're quite constrained. Kya and pra in the script, I presume. So kya, let's look at that here. Yeah. There's multiple ways to do it and be correct. It's one of the nice things about Devanagari. Ka, final, and ya. And pra, so P-R-A. And pra. So the R just kind of goes all over the place as needed. I think you're let me know if there's any like illustrated there. Bra, kya. So K is special because of its having an inherent part on the right of the stem. This is the basic K sign. A little sloppy there with my mouse. So for the combining form, we just leave off that little tail, but we keep the stem. Keep that to say this cluster is continuing. So ya is the basic Y shape. Stem's got to stay if we do it, horizontally. Another way, I'll show you in just a second, to write KYA, the KY cluster, is do the whole basic K shape but scrunched up and stick a Y below it, except, I mean, it would be logically possible. It's not seen in printed works, but if you look at like the Burmese shape of the Y, it's just this, leaving off the stem. And let's look at ra. So the basic ba is a backwards P. Probably not an accident. There, I think the letter shapes would be cognate. Going back to Phoenician. And then ra, the re, fa, the absolute shape would be like that. And a combining form is there, so it'll be ba, leg sticking out, like a backwards R. This is bra, the cluster. The rpa might also occur. There the R would be written after the P itself on top. The pra and the second consonant seems to go on the left. Here they go in order. Well, the basic writing direction is left to right. But as with the vowel marking, as with the vowel E sign, there is counterintuitive ordering there. We have it in our script too. We prove it to you in a simple symbol. And now I will add another stroke, making it more complex but more symmetrical. Anyway, it goes on the left, but it's spoken later. In Arabic, in the script, the words, of course, go right to left, but within a numeral figure, it's left to right. Which of these is horse? Mal? Yeah.
거북이,
거북이, 닭,
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 말,
말. Chicken is 닭,
쥐,
쥐.
말, 닭,
닭이 빨라요.
닭이 빨라요.
닭이 빨라요.
No L is heard, though it could be 닭이.
닭이 빨라요.
Just ornamental at this point, a silent L. 빨라요 is fast. There is much water here. 여기에 물이 많아요. 여기에 물이 많아요. There is this much. Oh, that's something else. 이만큼. 물이 이만큼 있어요. 이만큼. This much. 이만큼. Capital for the aspirate in this keyboard. 금. Nice looking word. And then 있어요 is to exist in a place. ISS어요. 있어요. 여기에 물이 이만큼 있어요. Or 여기에 물이 이만큼 있습니다. The different level of formality, a higher one.
이 닭은 말을 타요.
Alright, let me delete that. Here are our words for this sutra. Thank you. Na, dha, tu. That's it. It's the A final. Makes sense. Ardha. Ardha. My old eyes. Just deprive myself of it. Ardha. Interesting. There should be more things ligatured with the D. Okay, let's... Okay, what I needed is present though, the ending of the second word. The final is not really meaningful. That might be evocative, but that's not what this is. But that's a mute, so the is the surface form of an underlying A short diphthong. 의.
दादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके
Ardhadhatuka. This word I need to look up. Ooh, I think it refers to a class of verb roots. Prefixed. Okay, here we go. Where are you? Together with the augment irt, prescribed in general for being prefixed to an ardhatuka affix, beginning with any consonant except y. The word is also used in the sense of a root which allows the augment irte, phonetic e, to be prefixed to a valadi, I don't know this word, ardhatuka affixes placed after it, in contrast with such roots which do not allow it, and hence which are termed anirt. Prescribed general ardhatuka affix is what means something in Hinduism Sanskrit, if you know the exact meaning. Sarvadhatuka, for such verbal and krit affixes as are not personal endings. Nor okay, now is it? Uh-oh. I'm already confused in the first sentence here. Sarvadhatuka are not personal endings of verbs, nor marked with the mute letter sh. Mute meaning it's an it marker. Dingshit Sarvadhatukam is the sutra. Ding. Okay. So it's a class of affixes. I think we're just going to have to leave it at that for now and come back to this term later when we have a more solid foundation. So I found that book I want to share with you. Does this make it? Okay. It cannot be said how the term originated. Probably such affixes are pratyayas. Pratyayas, rather. Short. Pratyaya is a beautiful word, a very useful one. And it's used in the grammar itself. And it has this nice ligature. It has two nice ligatures. Pratyaya. Pratyaya. Got a nice sort of tortoise shell pattern to it now that I look at it. Pratyaya. And the breakdown is prati, which is an add position, and aya means a toward goer. And it denotes an affix in the grammar. The prati has the Greek cognate pros, with the T of the original. So the Greek shows the Indo-European vowel O, preserves that clearly, and the Sanskrit preserves the T sequence, which in Greek fused into a sigma, pros. So we have that in prosthetic and a few other words. And aya is the root of, what's the root of going in Indo-European? We have eo in Latin, is, it, imus, para for on, related. Para. That's probably a different pronoun. Well, it could be a not pronoun, sorry, directional word. Probably related in the root, but not with the T suffix. So, over here. Excellent planning. So the book is called The Tested Easiest Method of Learning and Teaching Sanskrit. Maharshi Panini was not only a rishi, seer of the science of words, but he had an unusual insight into the Vedic and Laukika, which would mean worldly, Laukika literature, as has been admitted by all about the Vedic literature. Very precious instructions are found here and there in his creation, the Ashtaध्यायी. He had a profound knowledge of geography, history, and public affairs. The Ashtaध्यायी not only profounds the formulae of grammar, but it also greatly influences the knowledge of geography, history, and other subjects, as has been universally acknowledged. Maharshi Patanjali, a later grammarian, wrote in his Mahabhashya. So that one, the first syllable could be long too. It's not. He doesn't mark length in his transliteration. I'm doing it from memory. The length there could well be wrong. Not even a single letter of Panini is without some definite purpose. What to say in the superfluity? I don't understand this. Not even a single letter of Panini is without some definite purpose. What to say of the superfluity of sutras? Maybe there's a comma missing. Except about the Ashtadhyayi system, no information is available about the Prakriya books, written before 1140, maybe? Vikrami era. Till then, the reading and teaching of the Panini's grammar was done according to the Ashtadhyayi system. The Chinese pilgrim Itzing, who was in India from 681 to 691 AD, says, "At present time, Indians have faith in the Ashtadhyayi. The children of 8 years begin to learn the Sutra Partha of Panini and finish in 8 months. The boys of 15 years of age begin to read this gloss and master it in 5 years. After finishing the study of the gloss, students begin to learn the construction of prose and poetry." How easy is grammar? Alright, the peculiarity of the Ashtadhyayi system. Wherein lies the significance or superiority of the system? This is the curiosity which naturally arises, to satisfy which the following explanation is given. The reader must have learnt the bare Ashtadhyayi by heart, and here lies the most profound secret about it. In order to know the meaning of a sutra, the words of which are brought forward due to adhikara or anuvritti should be placed before it. Talk about those later. Then arranging system, that's I think one of the first things he goes into in his lesson. Only a student who has learnt the Ashtadhyayi by heart is in a position to study according to the Ashtadhyayi system. He can become a full-fledged scholar in 4 or 5 years. On the other hand, he who studies according to the Kaumudi system cannot acquire such proficiency even in 12 years. This aspect needs due consideration of the savants. One should not think that the sutras of the Ashtadhyayi are given haphazard. In fact, all the subjects in the Ashtadhyayi are interlinked in a scientific manner. Therefore, sutras on a particular topic and their meanings are acquired very soon without any difficulty. As the sutras pertaining to any one subject, such as Sarvanama Itsanya Atmani. Oh, these are examples. Wait. No, that must be just a long sutra. It's a list of nouns, a giant compound. Sarvanama means pronoun. It sanjna, having an it designation or something, its status. Atmanepada is the medial passive ending. Parasmaipadam, a word inflected in the active voice. Karaka is like a case function. Vibhakti, a case form. Samasa, a compound. Dvirvachana, dual number. Sandhi, which we also call sandhi. Sert, anirt, I'll tell you about those, break those down later, are placed at one place. Their connections and contents are known at sight. As the sutras pertaining to any one subject are placed at one place, connections, contents known at sight. That's right. The sutra, they'll be really, really short. The meaning it's really just a mnemonic. What it does is it omits the repeated bits from earlier sutras. So when you memorize it in that particular order with the continuing words having their effects in the following rules. If the order of the sutras is changed, their connection to one another and their meanings are lost or become ambiguous. Besides the above subjects, there remain only 2, which is Subanta. Oh, I haven't thought of that in a while. Subanta is a word ending in a nominal case marker. And the Tinganta, so a word ending in a verbal person number marker, so a verb, an inflected verb, which may those are beautiful terms. Let's look at those. Pause and get some vocab from this. So you're supposed to memorize it before you know what it means, yeah, basically. So it's much more interesting if you learn what it means as you're memorizing it. But since you don't just memorize it in a week or 2, I think it's worthwhile to sort of break down the system and how it works, and you get some measure of understanding. Like, I memorized a few dozen sutras. Some of them I understood, and others I just sort of had to learn to reproduce without fully understanding. Knowledge that insight may come at a later date. Alright, so those wonderful words. Subanta. And tinganta. So, na. In Sanskrit, words doesn't really occur on its own immediately in a word like that. To interpret these, you should know that Sanskrit has a cognate to our English word end in anta, masculine. That's the stem. Antaha, masculine, nominative, singular. And soup. Is it what's the status of it? I think it is 2 it markers there. Means any of the 21 endings, nam, sing, so on, till you get to locative plural. 7 cases and 3 numbers. So there's a grid of 21. Collectively, they're known by the siglum sup. And similarly, for the verb endings, it goes tip, das, ji, for what we call the third person, and 2 more persons, And then it does the active endings first, and then the what are those? The mediopassive endings. Loaded here. What do they end with? Anyway, the it marker is eng. Let me find that. Ting affixes. Jayas. Sup and ting.
Suaujas, autshas, tabhyambhis, ngebhyambhyas,
Starting with the sup set, which is the nominal markers over here on the right. Let's hear it again.
Suaujas, autshas, tabhyambhis,
What these are, first row is nominative, then accusative, instrumental, dative, ablative, genitive, locative. These are the underlying forms that Paanini's grammar refers to. Then we'll have the verb endings over here on the left.
ngebhyambhyas, ngasibhyambhyas, ngasosam, ngeosup.
First one is su in the set, the last one is called sup. The whole set is also denoted by sup. Bit of ambiguity there. But for su, he'll probably drop the P if he wants to talk about just that one case marker. And then
Suaujas, autshas, tabhyambhis, ngebhyambhyas, ngasibhyambhyas, ngasosam, ngeosup.
fast recitation, the same thing.
Tiptas jhi, siptas tha, mi.
These are the verb endings. Tip, das, jhi, that's singular, dual, plural of third person.
Vasmas, tam jha, thasatham dvam, itvahimahing.
That was it. Irt. So the last is what we call first person. The mediopassive irt vahi mahing is how that set ends. Let's spend a little time on Sanskrit. Let's see. Irt vahi mahing. God, I'm confused myself. There we go. Irt vahi is just how the morpheme goes, and then mahi is the next, and then an it marker at the end, eng. Irt vahi mahing is how the series ends. Oh yeah, sorry, I was showing that in the wrong place. Okay, let's try that again. So here a recitation in this nice video. I'm gonna like this.
Suaujas,
Do you see some Devanagari paradigms on the screen?
autshas, tabhyambhis. Suaujas, autshas, tabhyambhis, ngebhyambhyas, ngasibhyambhyas, ngasosam, ngeosup.
Okay, good. Alright, that's an undo.
Suaujas,
First, we're reading through. They're on the right side of the page, but it's the nominal marker.
autshas, tabhyambhis, ngebhyambhyas, ngasibhyambhyas, ngasosam, ngeosup.
So starting with su, the first one, to a final P marker denotes the whole set of noun endings. And this word here, subanta, means having a sup at the end, so an inflected noun. Then he's going to set them all back.
Ngebhyambhyas, ngasibhyambhyas, tas jhi, siptas sup.
Here are the verb endings. Tip.
Tiptas jhi, siptas tha, mipvasmas.
First set of 9 is the active ones, parasmai padam, a verbal action for another.
Tam jha, thasatham dvam, itvahimahing.
These are for passive verbs or also the middle voice. So medio passive. Mahing. Anyway, back to the sutra, which we are here to discuss. Nadhatulopa, surface form. Artha. Whenever you see one word ending in and the next beginning with a vowel, you know that something's gotten lost, because two consecutive vowels would run together in certain well-defined patterns. Ardha, that's a compound. Dhatuke. So, dhatulopa is a compound too. So, full of compounds is this text. Dhatu, the component that's in both of those words, is a verbal root in this system. A well-defined set of 2,000 or so. And they're the things from which both nouns and verbal adjectives, as well as finite verb forms, are derived, what they're built on. The word dhatu basically means ingredient. And pratyaya we talked about, so subanta, you could write like this, means a noun-inflected thing. Maybe my approximation means ending in sup, having sup as its end, with voicing of the final P as the first component. Tinganta, T is the first suffix in the list, down all the way through mahing, which has that eng marker. Tinganta means a verb-inflected thing. Those are the two inflected classes of words in Sanskrit. Everything else was uninflected. Although you had other derivational processes. So you memorize those basic sets. Inflection in both nouns and verbs is very complex in Sanskrit and all Indo-European languages. But you treat all those markers as the basic ones, and everything else is derived by substitutions of those, which is something that is contained in the 4,000 sutras.
이 닭은 말을 타요.
이 닭은, this chicken, 말을 타요, rides a horse.
소가 걷습니다.
소가 걷습니다. 걷다 is walking. Cow is walking. So one nice nuanced difference I'm noting between topic marking nun and subject ka. When it's soga, it sounds like a specific cow at some specific instance walking. Whereas 소는 걷습니다 would be a more general statement of truth. Cows walk.
이 소는 우유를 마시지 않습니다. 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 이 소는 우유를 마시지 않습니다.
Okay, 이, that's a word on its own. 소는 together, this cow. Because E is there, that makes it definite. So 는 doesn't change that.
이 소는 우유를 마시지 않습니다. 이 소는 우유를 마시지 않습니다.
Kind of makes sense about subject versus topic. Yeah. Seems intuitive to me when I tell myself that. Glad you agree.
양은 무엇을 먹어요?
양은, is that the sheep?
양은
Levi, what's the sheep kanji? 양 that this reflects. 무엇을 먹어요? 무엇을. This is nice. So fusion running together. 무엇, 무엇을. Looks like a dancing couple also, looking at it there. And I think the ot, that second component, shows a weakening lenition of a G in the word kot, the written form of the S. 무것. To me, it makes sense to unite it with that noun, or pronoun, kot, that's what I'm saying. What that fuses down further into moi. Maybe the S was a meaningful suffix. Well, if that, I'm contradicting myself. If it was kot, then it was not a suffix, probably part of the word. Part of the noun. Young Hanja has the antenna variant built on some horizontal lines and a big vertical one. Yeah, it looks like an antenna. So what would, let me do it by hand. Tell us what would be the CJ breakdown. CJ breakdown. Yes, pretty definitely a random order of colors. Young Hanja. 양은 sheep. 무엇을 먹어요? What do they eat?
돼지는 매일 배가 고픕니다.
Y, Q, not Y on top. Q is correct. 돼지는 매일 배가 고픕니다.
돼지는
That's it, pigs. Okay, looking at the
돼지는
G syllable, I see a little dog snout. No, the Q is correct. It's T, Q. T because it's two short in that dimension and one horizontal. As if we were saying thank you, T, Q. Thank you. Wow. Let's go ahead and take a look. Here's an old yarn. 돼지는 pigs 매일 배가 고픕니다. Are hungry every day.
남자가 돼지를 탑니다.
남자가 돼지를 탑니다. Man, subject, rides, 탑니다. Where just the first two sounds, t and a, are the verb root. The rest is the ending. A pig.
이 농장에는 돼지가 많아요.
농장에는, at this farm, 돼지가 많아요. There are many pigs. At this farm, fan. Why? But the T. Yep, you got it. That looks like the zodiac symbol for Aries, the ram. It's a Remy. Very close. This would be small sealed, I think. It's a nice old one. So this would be Oracle Bone, I think. Yep. The nice symmetrical one in the bronze. Isn't that great? Let's do a few more of these as we go. Especially if it's a single syllable Sino-Korean term. Those are special. 농장. Let's look at that too. So that's going to be, speaking of T, under the TW shape, for me. To write agriculture, 농. Yeah, that chi on top. So that is TWMMB. Oh dear. Yeah. The top part is just written as T on top of W. Well, it's nice and instructive. I can just write out the whole string now. M, M, V for this character. Not too bad, actually. And that's for farming, agriculture. It's this 농 here, 농장, the place.
동물농장,
농장. So with no noun marking, no verbs, it's a compound noun. Farm.
소는 이쪽으로 옵니다.
소는 이쪽으로 옵니다. So the cows, a cow. Other parts of the sentence can make it seem like it's a definite event occurring. 이쪽으로 옵니다 are coming this way, is coming this way. 이쪽으로, to this side. A cow comes this way.
그 말이 농장에서 달립니다.
그 말이 농장에서 달립니다. That horse. 농장에서, that's the locative. It's just where the activity is occurring. Or it could be destination or starting point? Say a horse is running at the farm. That horse. That horse runs on a farm. So the eso is rather like the Japanese de, as opposed to the simple e, Korean e, Japanese ni.
말은 빨리 달립니다.
말은 빨리 달립니다. Horses run fast.
여자가 양고기를 많이 먹습니다.
여자가 양고기를 많이 먹습니다. Decoded from the end. We've got an act of eating. Somebody eats something. The verb doesn't tell us how many, or even what persons directly. 많이 in large amount. 고양이를 eats. Sorry, 양고기. Those would be the same syllables. except
양고기를,
first two. 양고기.
여자가 양고기를 많이 먹습니다.
After yang, the k kogi is going to voice gogi. Sheep eat mutton. The woman eats mutton, a lot of it. Forest. Soup. That's great. Look how much like the forest drawing it looks. Mani is like English many. Wait. Do you know the etymology of it? It is Sino-Korean and Korean. It's a brunch word.
숲. 늑대. 말. 숲.
늑대.
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 숲.
And a way that in which it is unlike many. I mean, yes, I think it's a very useful and helpful mnemonic. I like the many equation a lot. But an important difference to be aware of. Mani is adverbial, I would say, whereas our word many is determiner. So, like in the numeral class. So you couldn't always, anyway, you get the idea. Wolf.
늑대.
Unusual to have an in that first syllable of a noun stem.
늑대가 아이를 길러요.
아이를 길러요. its own children, I suppose. The wolf raises children. Unless this is about Romulus and Remus. Children.
사슴고기,
사슴 고기.
사슴,
Venison 고기.
호랑이는 고양이예요.
Yeah, that's true. It's an attractive one. Like a piece of furniture or something. 호랑이, the tiger, 는 고양이예요. Tigers are cats.
부엉이,
원미, 후엉. So,
부엉이,
okay, I can see
부엉이,
owl looking at me. Maybe, okay, I see a comic strip.
부엉이,
In the first syllable, pu, it's a look at the owl from behind, sitting on a branch. Ong, we see one of its eyes, but this is
부엉이,
an E in the final strip.
부엉이,
We zoomed in. The owl is squinting at us.
부엉이가 뱀을 먹어요.
뱀을,
뱀을,
뱀, snake. 먹어요. The owl eats a snake, or the snake.
부엉이와 오리가 날아요.
부엉이와 오리가 날아요. 날다.
날아요.
Owl and the duck fly.
뱀은 날지 않아요.
뱀은 날지만 않아요. 날지. They don't fly. 뱀. Snakes don't fly.
새들이 납니다. 새들이 납니다.
새들이
새들이 납니다.
납니다. Oh, that's gonna be with the L deleted. That's the flying verb again.
새들이 납니다.
Let's fly. So we've got a sound change there. 새 for the bird. 들, a pluralizing suffix. E, subject marker. And then bam, there was a snake. You've seen better? I first heard that in 05.
새들이 납니다.
Okay, 새들이. Speaking of bam, there was a snake. 새들이. Just two participants in this sentence, the subject noun and the verb, 납니다. So nal is the root, but here, deleted L, we add on the B, and those fuse like that, 납니다. A B that is no longer heard as B, though. Yep. That long ago. Please enjoy that sentence on that end as well, but I meant to put it here. So where it'll do a little more good in getting me to the
뱀,
snake.
호랑이,
호랑이, tiger.
뱀이 그녀를 속입니다.
뱀이 그녀를 속입니다. 속이다 was hide,
속입니다.
deceive. 속이, deceive. So E as the subject marker on the snake. 뱀. That woman accusative is a her. 속입니다. This is a stellar English sentence. Deceives her. Tiger and cat. 호랑이, 고양이. Yep. That nga is beloved in animal names. 강아지. 원숭이. So there might actually be a morpheme ni for animals. Ni or even 앙이. Perhaps not. Maybe it's all just an accident, or the words kind of rubbing off on each other. A phonestheme? Synestheme, whatever that would be.
그는 늑대하고 같이 춤춰요.
늑대하고 with the wolf. 그는 he, she with the wolf. 같이 together. 춤춰요 is dancing. He is dancing with wolves. He dances with wolves. Dances together with the wolf.
사슴이 우리의 집으로 갑니다.
사슴이 우리의 집으로 갑니다. 으로 for the directive. Allative.
사슴이
A deer goes to our house.
사슴
Deer. Which word for dancing? Oh, 춤추다. I suppose so, yeah. Da suffix. Let me have it chaperone a little further away. Chum and chu cognates. In fact, okay. In the forest, a tiger eats a deer. It was soup. Yeah, soup. Soup setting the scene. Soup S-U capital P. Saw a tiger eats a deer. 호랑이가 사슴을 먹어요. 늪에서 호랑이가 사슴을 먹어요. 사슴을 먹습니다. There are no wolves in the forest. Korean expresses this a little differently from English. Since we're talking about existence in a place, with the verb 없다, I'm going to use a simple 에 particle. So 늪에, 숲에, right? Wolves was 늑대. They are not there. 늑대가 없습니다. Okay, and now back to that sutra. Lope. The stem lopa means deletion, and when you have an final stem with a word form ending in a, that's your locative singular. So dhatu lopa means root deletion, and locative I think is here to mean used to mean in the case of a deleted root. Dhatu lopa ardha dhatuke. What does it mean? Can you share a little bit of your summary of this sutra? Summary in the book.
अदैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च
Oh, I don't think we identified na. That's the word not. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Sorry. Let's stick it in the right one. And let's do it again.
प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च दीधीवे वीटात् प्रथमोऽध्यायः प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च.
Alright, cha. So na and cha are important. They will continue through their echoes will be felt in the continuing sutras. What the na, of course, is an incomplete sentence. The subject from the preceding one, guna vritti, meaning guna and vritti replacements. Na, negator. They do not take place in the case of dhatu lopa. Dhatu lopa ardha dhatuke. In the case of this class of affix called ardha dhatuka. It's just a name. The components, though, it's a vritti derivative of ardha, which means half, and dhatu means verb root, ingredient in the common language. I think we said that above, but bears repeating what a dhatu is. And then the knitija.
न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च.
And here you might see it spelled without the initial g consonant. The way it's written on the slide, g, k, and n are it, and it's in the locative case, locative singular. Knitija. So this could not be an actual word of Sanskrit. The grammarians pronounce it to convey their meanings. The it is that technical little label on a morpheme, and it means this expression without regarding the case ending. Knit means having a g or a k or an eng letter as an indicatory marker, and e again locative in the case of a word where that is true. So it's giving now in these sutras exceptions to the guna and vritti replacements. These are special cases where you won't do it where you normally would. And so if a verb root or an affix is marked with k, k, or n, then you're not going to substitute the vowel in that way. That's what this sutra tells us. It has effects on many thousands of words. And here it is neatly summarized in 3 syllables. So it's important that the na of the preceding sutra, na dhatu lopa ardha dhatu ke, the meaning na carries through this sutra too. Niti cha is the enclitic meaning and as well. So it is equal to Latin que. I'm using the equal sign in 2 senses. As an enclitic boundary and also as an equation marker. And maybe let's get into a little bit more of the meat of this thing. I think I had the bookmark in a different place from what I intended. Alright, the first day lesson. It says, varieties of words, nature of karakas. Kalama gives 4 nonsense words. So he wants to train his students in using Devanagari, which we are trying to do with Master Levi. Let's do that as a little exercise. So can you please give us the Devanagari for Kalama? 4 words here. That's the first. Kalam. Kalma. And Klum. What do those look like? These should be dictated backward and forward to the students. The teacher should see whether the student is able to write such varieties of pronunciation and joint letters correctly. The Ashtadhyayi should be given to him if he is found to write the dictated words correctly. However much the student has studied, he must be successful in writing the dictation correctly. I think he's talking about at what point to admit a student to this course. So long as he's not found able to do so, he should keep on practicing. When he is able to speak and write correctly, the teaching of Sanskrit should then begin. There are 4 kinds of words in Sanskrit, viz, which are nama, nominal expressions, akhyata, I forget the root meaning of it, but I think that means verbs, upasarga, those are those positional words like prati and ni, downward, and nipata, which I think are particles. Okay, he talks about them here. Nama, substantive. It is the name of a person, place, or thing, e.g. Rama, Krishna, Baladeva, Kashi, Amritsar, Ujjain, Vriksha, a tree, Jala, water, Kupa, well, etc. Akhyata, verb. The padas or words denoting actions are akhyata, e.g. Bhartati, he or she reads, Gachati, he or she goes, Chalati, he or she walks. Third class is upasargas. Upasarga means prefix or preposition, are those which are affixed before verbs and generally change their meanings. Gachati, he goes. Agachati, he comes. Sthana, to stay. Prasthan, to depart. Prasthana, I should say. Achara, conduct. Vichara, thought. Prachara, propagation. Sanchara, communication. Atyachara, with double prefix, meaning tyranny, etc. There is difference in meaning due to the different upasargas. Upasargas are indeclinable. And fourth class, nipata, particle, e.g. yadi, if, api, to, cha, and, which we just saw, va, meaning or, nanu, why, I don't know, I think it's not the question word why. So, Levi has replied, good. First one was kalama, not quite. Kalam, also not quite. Kalma is perfect, and klum is perfect. Please try the first 2 over again. And while you do, I'm going to let the thing play while I open the door.
प्रथमोऽध्यायः प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च प्रथमोऽध्यायः प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च दीधीवे वीटाम्
Kalama and kalam. Niticha didhive vetam.
प्रथमोऽध्यायः प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके ङिति च दीधीवेवीटाम्
Okay,
हलो
did a little incorrectly. The first two consonants there are dental.
ङिति च दीधीवेवीटा
And the retroflex is the dam in the last syllable. K got stuck. Kalama, exactly. And kalam. That is it. The K got stuck. Yep. Yeah, me too. The melody helps get it in your ear, at least for me it does. So it's just right up here on YouTube. Just bookmark it. Listen to a little segment a few times to help get it in your brain. We can go ahead and talk about the next sutra. These are not terribly complex. This passage now is a list of exceptions to a general rule that he has stated. Really is just, well, not said much, just that guna and vriddhi replacements occur in conditions so-and-so and not in these guys. Yeah. Vevirtam, let's be a little more detailed there. D long, D, that's the first root. I think it means to shine. Vevi is another one. And then it's dam, retroflex. Not didhi, that is also a conceivable word or root shape. Vivi, but didhi, vivir, dam.
के ङिति च दीधीवेवीटाम्
Didhi and vivi are just two verb roots. In those roots, the guna and vriddhi replacements don't take place. It's never dedhi or daidhi, and so on. From derivatives of these two, they're exceptional. The na of two sutras above continues. This process, where a word echoes through the following sutras, is called anuvritti. So like continued influence, and that's a stem form. We get a visarga for the nominative singular. Anu is a, what was the term? Upasarga. Aspirated, voiced, a little tough to say, yeah. You have to get the glottis in a particular configuration. It helps to hear it some, and some pundits, I think, some people who recite it, will use a voiceless aspirate instead, or one where you can't really detect any murmur, but it should be buh, duh, guh, so. Buh.
곰. 개미는 작습니다.
개미는 ants 작습니다 are small.
여우는 어떻게 웁니까?
여우는 어떻게 웁니까? 여우
여우는
어떻게 how does he 우다?
웁니까?
How does the fox cry? Yo is nice, all vowels.
개구리
개구리. Ke could mean dog.
개구리
Not here. This is a, oh look, it's a
개구리
comic strip of a leaping frog.
개구리
The
개구리
B consonants.
개구리
And in ri, he's pulled his legs.
개구리 개구리
He or she could be a lady frog. Yeah. Bear walks through the door upside down. Yeah, I'm still looking for a nice pithy formulation for that one. Cool. What we're talking about, for those of you watching who are not Levi or me, either now or later, the syllable for bear in Korean, geo in kum, if you rotate that 180, you get a different word. You have the M still on top. You flip the O, you get an U vowel, and the upside down K is an N. Mun means door. So this is bear here above door, and they're also just flipped variants of each other. They have that in common. They have a basic configuration in common. one. And keguri is the frog. Oh, do you know the Japanese for frog? Sounds quite close to this, actually. The famous Basho poem has it. It's 3 syllables. So the Basho from a few centuries ago has an old form of it. Dog and frog share the... Oh, in English, yeah, that's nice, good eye. So the modern Japanese is kaeru, like return home, same sound. And the old form, a few centuries ago, kawazu, for frog. Kawazu tobikomu, the frog jumps in. Keguri. So K, Z, and R, not too far off. We're seeing that in Indic as well.
너구리,
Noguri.
너구리.
Is that
여우가 너구리를 공원에서 찾습니다.
여기가 너구리를 공원에서
찾습니다.
찾습니다. 여우가 너구리
너구리를
raccoon dog 공원에서 at the park look for find it. 여우가 was the fox. Finds the 너구리.
너구리를
Alright, I'm gonna have to look this up. I can't remember what it is if I suppose I can remember comparing, but it's just not interesting to the brain to remember a thing. I don't know what it is. It's awfully cute. Mangut or Tanuki, Japanese martin. And let's go over to sister site. Okay, Europe up to the Urals, and then all of eastern China, Japan, and whatever that island is. Kamchatka. Nice. In the park, 공원에서.
너구리가 여우를 못 가르쳐요.
너구리가 여우를 못 가르쳐요. Can't teach. 너구리가. That one was the raccoon dog.
너구리가
여우를, the fox. Can't teach the fox.
그 곰은 못 납니다.
What?
그 곰은 못 납니다.
Win this ball.
그 곰은 못 납니다. 그 곰은 못 납니다.
Doesn't fly. The ball doesn't fly. 납니다. 그 공은 못 납니다. Cannot fly. It is not the case. It's kind of the meaning of this mot, I take it. That it flies. 납니다. 곰, the bear. The ball, but 곰, the bear.
그 곰은 못 납니다.
It is in an onset still. Makes it easier.
곰이 개구리를 못 찾아요.
곰이 개구리를 못 찾아요. Cannot find. The bear can't find. 개구리를, the frog.
곰은 아이를 먹습니다.
곰은 아이를 먹습니다. Bear eats children.
곰,
The other option sentence was lovely. A bear eats a child.
곰이 토끼를 요리합니다.
요리합니다. The bear cooks the rabbit.
개미는 맛있습니까?
는 맛있습니까? Are ants tasty?
저는 개구리를 찾습니다.
저는 개구리를 찾습니다. Long S sound. 저는 I raccoon dog object find a raccoon dog search for frogs. 개구리.
우리들이 개미를 먹습니까?
우리들이 interesting. The we plurals. 개미를 an ant ants 먹습니까? Do we eat ants?
우리는 뱀을 못 먹습니다.
우리는 뱀을 못 먹습니다. 우리는 we eat snakes. Snacks. Cannot 못 yeah. The true name of the bear, yeah. Alright, XKCD. Wow, according to the internet, we don't know the true name of the bear. What? Apparently there was a superstition that saying its name would summon it. Bear and Braun mean the brown one. Its actual name has been lost. Wow, Gretchen, is this for real? Well, sort of. Oh, is that Gretchen McCullough? Something? Apparently, well, sort of. The Proto-Indo-European word root was rkto. It was lost in the Germanic languages like English, but survived elsewhere, e.g. Greek. Arctos and Latin ursus. So could we figure out what the word would have been in English? I mean, we'll never know, but given Germanic sound shifts, a reasonable guess might be Arth? No. Takes a nice turn. Yeah, delightful.
그 곰은 못 납니다. 그 곰은 못 납니다. 그 곰은 못 납니다.
Cannot fly. 그 곰은 못 making an appearance as a stick figure. It's kind of cool. 합니다. 못함. So the SH will be pronounced as a aspirate T, I think. 못합니다. Is that it?
그 곰은 못 납니다.
Oh, it's 납니다 from fly. Let me get the nub syllable. Nab it over here. 못 납니다.
그 곰은 못 납니다.
There's a word space. 그 곰은 noun phrase subject. And then 못, it is not the case that 납니다, it flies. It's not the case that it can.
저는 개구리를 찾습니다.
저는 개구리를 찾습니다. I look for frogs.
우리는 뱀을 못 먹습니다.
우리는 뱀을 못 먹습니다.
우리는 뱀을 못 먹습니다.
We cannot eat snakes. Okay, friends, my eyes are a little sleepy. Let's wrap this one up. If you've got any more sutra questions or on any other topics, now's the time. Elephant is kokiri, the nose long, with the tensing K coming from an old SK cluster.
개,
물고기,
물고기,
코끼리,
코끼리. Nice high tone on the first syllable there too.
개,
코끼리,
코끼리,
개,
개,
물고기, 코끼리, 개, 개,
Exactly. My crab has dogged, and the dog has crabbed. In the French dialectology tradition, there's a famous sentence about a merger being avoided. I think it was in the Gascogne region. Gascogne. The cat killed the cock. Where standard French has coq and chat, in this dialect the outcomes would have been the same, so I forget which one, but they substituted a new noun for it, for one of them.
용,
I guess the sentence tells us which one. It was the cat that survived, and the cognative coq in standard French, Parisian French, that was the one that got killed. So, duh. Yong. That zero? That'd be Yong.
용,
Dragons. That's a very nice character. This is a single syllable Sino-Korean word. So let's go over to draw. Let's do the long, and the L goes away in this Powell's environment. Good. The simplified form, so with this K shape, has a P shape down below. It writes an I dot above last. So I think it would be KIP, kip. That's not it. But let's do the traditional dragon. Looks like a compound character, but it's from a single drawing. Like that? How does it go? Yep. So you stand on the moon on the left. Y, B. And then for the right side, Y, S, P. Yep. The other one there, Y, B, Y, S, P. I think this is an old variant form for the dragon. So, similar to what we noted the other day for the bamboo character, but now two distinct looking things was originally a single graph. That's the case of Dragon 2, I believe. Do you know the common Japanese reading for this? Do you know the Sino-Japanese? So, and then the rest of it, yeah. So yeah, as we saw, Y on top, B, Y, S, P. Oh no. Did that yesterday too, didn't I? How foolish. In Japanese it is you. Crap. K.
개,
코끼리.
개,
물고기.
코끼리,
저는 매일 게를 먹습니다.
게를 먹어요. Crab. I eat crabs every day. 저는 매일 게를 먹습니다.
위험.
위험. Danger. 危险. Here's 위험. Please, with a little cooperation from my dear friend. So, N-U for that one. And then it's N-O. 危险. And for this, actually both of these get slightly changed in simplified. The Xian is a more interesting one. NL component there, and then a Ren shape. straight line, and then this F, 3 strokes, M. That's what it looks like now. 弦.
상어는 없습니다.
상어는, that's the shark. Sharks 없습니다. There are none. There is no shark. You remember the story about 상어? What it reflects? Well, I can just tell you, but then there is a peculiarity to be noted there. So sa for the fish, NH. More fully, NFFH, and then NWF. This is 상어, the shark, but in Chinese it's 鲨鱼. So why is it sang in Korean?
고래, 고래,
Kujira in Japanese, not too far off. You had initial ang exactly, still preserved, yep. So in this word, it might not be there in Cantonese. It tends to drop. Probably depends on the region. Exactly. Very good. So it has to be written as the coda of sa, because otherwise it would be silent. It went syllable by syllable, but this word developed organically within Korean, and the nga was not subject to deletion.
용은 위험합니다.
용은, dragons, 위험합니다. They do the danger thing. I'll be sure to avoid all dragons. I've been doing pretty well so far. Oh, it's not yu, but for the fish it's yu, second time. Dragons are, but otherwise, forgetting it exactly right. Yongin dragons are dangerous. So hada, depending on what it combines with, danger, but can mean more do in English or more to be. So neither exclusively.
까치는 노래를 못합니다.
까치는 노래를 못합니다. 까치.
까치는
못합니다. They're not able to do songs. Can't sing.
나비가 납니다.
나비가 납니다. It doesn't take the umlaut because the Y is there telling us. Oh, that's right. Yeah, good point. So let's say U umlaut 1. We need it for nu. And after an L, you might need it. The luyest. Otherwise, the Y or JQX is doing that work too. 나비가, magpies, fly.
나비가,
Butterflies fly.
나비,
나비, butterfly.
용,
용, dragon.
고래를 잡읍시다.
고래를 잡읍시다. This is an exceptional root.
고래를,
The P stays.
고래를 잡읍시다.
Not cha. Okay, with b and
잡읍시다.
the outcome is u. Not here. What is this?
잡읍시다.
Let's grab it. Upsida. Let's catch the whale. Cool, bro.
용은 코끼리를 먹습니다.
용은 코끼리를 나비 butterfly contains letters nab. Do you know the name for a butterfly enthusiast, butterfly catcher? Nice Greek compound beginning with L. 코끼리를 먹습니다. 용은 dragons eat elephants. As, how did the master put it? As is acknowledged by all. This is a truth universally acknowledged. Dragons eat elephants.
개는 개가 아닙니다.
개는 crabs. 개가 아닙니다. Here's an instructive sentence. Crabs are not dogs. Lepidopterist. That it is. You caught it in your web. The pteron is Greek for the wing. And that's the Greek outcome of the Indo-European ending here. Scaling, something like that. Lepidopterology. Lepis, scale, yep. Pteron and logia, study of. So the ending in Indo-European for neuter nouns, nominative, accusative, singular, was Sanskrit, Greek, as we see here, Latin, They all change something. Crabs are not dogs.
상어.
상어, shark.
나비가 위험하지 않아요.
나비가, a noun, a butterfly, 위험하지 않아요. They don't do being dangerous. Perhaps not to us. Lepidopterophobia.
코끼리는 무엇을 먹습니까?
One thing I'd like to note about my made-up word just now, lepidopterophobia. Broken down into parts. Got two thematic vowels, those two O's on their own. They're just there to form a stem or to combine two stems. A bit of glue, they don't have a meaning. So not really a morpheme, just sort of a not quite theme. 코끼리는 elephants. Don't need the shot. What do they eat? What do elephants eat? Someone probably has that. Lepidopterophobia.
까치는 우리의 친구입니다.
See the magpies? 우리의 친구입니다. Our friends.
나비.
Navi, butterfly. So it's like the Navi people of Avatar. Okay, everyone give your eyes a nice rest tonight. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.